Do you feel the vibes?
What's up, YouTube? It's Carolina Calvin coming back to you with another video, and welcome to my NFL 2018 Conference Championship Game predictions. Last week in the divisional round, I went 3-1 with the only loss coming in that Pittsburgh Jacksonville game. I picked Pittsburgh to win, and of course they lost. But starting out with the conference championship games, all of them are going to be both of them are going to be on Sunday, January 21st. The first game, Jacksonville Jaguars head to New England and play the Patriots. You got one of the best offenses facing one of the best defenses in football. So that's going to be interesting to watch to see who dominates who. And that's not to say you can't overlook, the other side of the ball for both teams. New England's defense, who have, they have played better in the second half of the season, and Jacksonville's offense, who a lot's going to be on Blake Bortles to see, can he step up? Can he play the way he played early on in the season when, the Jacksonville Jaguars were beating teams? But to get into keys to victory for both teams, for Jacksonville, Blake Bortles is going to have to be an important part. In the two playoff games, he hasn't played well. He played well in the fourth quarter of the Pittsburgh game. In the first three quarters of that game, he wasn't that good. I mean, heading into the fourth, he had about 90 yards passing. He didn't turn the ball over, so I give him that. In the Buffalo game, he wasn't good. The defense really won that game for him, which you can expect that. You got one of the best defenses in football. Of course, they're going to win a lot of games for you. But in a game like this against a New England team that can put up a bunch of points, and you have to be more balanced offensively because they're gonna try to really stop that run. They're gonna try to stop Fournette because they know that's their go-to guy. He is their best offensive player. So Blake Bortles has to play better. Honestly, I would say he has to play the way he played early in this season when he was on fire. If he can play like that and really keep the ball out of Tom Brady's hands, they can possibly win this game. But that's a huge question mark because it's up to this point, throughout an entire game in the two playoff games he's been in, he hasn't played that well. But I think that's the one key offensively for Jacksonville. Key defensively for Jacksonville, getting pressure on Tom Brady. Getting pressure on Tom Brady. Out of the history of teams that have beaten him, you look at those Giants teams, they were able to get pressure on Tom Brady. As great as Tom Brady is, he's going to make plays no matter what. You saw in those games, you get pressure on him. He's not a guy who's going to escape. He's not going to escape outside of the pocket. He moves well inside the pocket. But if you're able to hit him, you can force some errant throws, possibly turnovers. And Jacksonville's done a great job all year of getting pressure on opposing quarterbacks. They were the top sack team in football, and that's for a reason. But against Pittsburgh, wasn't really there. But this is a game where they definitely need to get pressure on Tom Brady. Keys to victory for New England. Offensively, doing what they normally do, utilizing the running backs, utilizing the tight ends. You saw that was kind of a chink in that Jacksonville defense against Pittsburgh. You go back and watch that game. Le'Veon Bell, who's a beast, by the way. And even Pittsburgh's tight end had a great game. So, New England's a team. Gronk is a beast. James White, Deion Lewis, these are guys that they like to utilize in the passing game. Great hands, great in the open field. So that's something that New England will definitely take advantage of. There's no way they don't. I mean, that's usually their game plan coming into the game. Utilizing the running backs, utilizing the tight ends. They're going to take up whatever matchup advantage they can. And I'm pretty sure they watched the Pittsburgh tape. And defensively for New England, getting turnovers. Blake Bortles is a guy who has been able to he has coughed up the football. You've seen it. He's taking care of the football in the playoffs, but he's prone to make mistakes. He's prone to turn the ball over. It's just the way he's, just his history. So that is one thing. New England gets turnovers. You pitch your offense on the short field, and then the score could get out of hand really quickly. So I think that is an important thing for that New England defense, is to get turnovers, especially from a quarterback that can cough the ball up. But my prediction for this game, I'm going to go with New England. I think playing at home, they have the experience advantage, and I still just don't trust Blake Bortles. I still don't trust him. So I'm going to go with New England at home. But if that Jacksonville defense shows up, it could be a lot closer. If that Jacksonville defense shows up and Blake Bortles plays, even close to the way he played early in the season, this game could be a lot closer. And if I didn't already say, that game comes on at 3:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday. Next game, the NFC Championship game. The Minnesota Vikings head to Philadelphia to play the Eagles. This game is at 6:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Sunday, January 21st. Minnesota's coming off that crazy win against New Orleans. They should not have won that game. But, it is what it is. They made plays at the end. New Orleans didn't. Philly's coming off a really close game to Atlanta. A surprisingly close game. Most people expected them to score a lot of points, but it was mostly the defenses. Keys for victory for Minnesota. They just start with the away team. Offensively, I don't think the running game is going to be able to do much against Philly. Philly's one of the better run defenses in football. And even though they had 2 touchdowns against New Orleans, most of those yards and the 2 touchdowns came in that first half. It really bottled them up in that second half. So I don't expect them to be able to run on Philly like that. Case Keenum's going to have to be more important in terms of them getting touchdowns. He didn't play too bad. He made the one really bad throw. He made some other really bad throws where he was just throwing the ball up. Unfortunately, only one of them got picked. But you saw a couple of those plays where he did do that. But he's gonna have to be more important, just because I don't think the running game is gonna be as good. Also, his right tackle was terrible. He got hit a lot. He got pressured a lot in that New Orleans game. And you're facing a Philly team who can also get pressure on the quarterback. So hopefully they shore up that right side of the offensive line, because they didn't play too well. Mainly the right tackle. You go back and watch that game, you saw he was getting pressured a lot. Defensively for Minnesota, make Nick Foles uncomfortable, because he didn't play well in the last game. Make him uncomfortable. He's a guy. He's replacing Carson Wentz. He's been in Philly. He hasn't played too bad, but it's definitely not up to the level Carson Wentz was playing at earlier this season. And Minnesota has a great defense. So getting pressure on him, pressure on the QB is so important. And being able to really, because you saw against Atlanta, it was a lot of read option plays for Nick Foles, and Nick Foles is not going to run the ball. So it's not as effective as if it was with a running quarterback. Carson Wentz, it was a lot more effective because he's a quarterback that could run. So it's kind of weird that they still run that, but it was working for him. But I think getting pressure on Nick Foles is going to be important. You don't, how do I want to say it? You want to make him throw the ball mostly. So it's kind of on that offense as well. Be able to score points. Put him in a position where Nick Foles has to be a guy who wins in the games. And wins in this game. And he has to make plays down the stretch. He's not Drew Brees. He's not going to do what Drew Brees was doing last week. So you have to make Nick Foles beat you. Because, the running game, they are going to run the ball. The running game's pretty good. But Minnesota's one of the better run defenses. And I'm just pointing out something I think that's more important. Nick Foles, you see, is, kind of the weak link on the offense. Surprised to say that, because he was pretty good at one point in Philly. It's just, different philosophy, different offensive system. He's just not as good as he once was, and under the current system. So I think really slowing him down, forcing him to make mistakes, is Minnesota's best chance to really go on the road and win this game. For Philly, defensively, pressure on Case Keenum. And I keep talking about pressure on the quarterback, but it's so important, especially for these teams who, nowadays when quarterbacks are throwing it more than ever. Getting pressure on the quarterback, because I feel as though both teams run defense. I don't see either team running the ball well on each other. I just don't see. I think it's going to be one with the quarterbacks, at least offensively. Not accounting for turnovers or anything like that from the defense or special teams. I think if any of the offense is going to have success, it's going to have to be from the quarterbacks, because it's just these two teams running defense is too stout. I think getting pressure on Case Keenum, because he had on the right side of the offensive line, he's had some protection issues. Offensively for Philly, establishing the run, because Nick Foles, I wouldn't trust him throwing the ball a lot. I wouldn't even trust Case Keenum, but he's shown he's been able to do it. Nick Foles hasn't shown yet. I believe he had one game, but you could tell he's a little bit uncomfortable under the system. So Minnesota's really slowing, for Philly, establishing the run to keep Nick Foles from having to throw the ball a bunch of times, which he has the talent to do. We just haven't seen him do it outside of probably that one game. Who was that game against? I don't even think it was against a good team, and it was in the regular season. But the pick for this game, I'm going to go with Minnesota. I'm going to go with the road team. I think I like their defense more. I think, and they have the opportunity to get turnovers on the Philly offense. I still don't, like I said, I don't trust Nick Foles that much. I really don't. Does he have talent? Yeah. I mean, you saw him a couple years back, but that was then. This is now. So I'm going to go with Minnesota in this game. Let me know down in the comment section who you got in both the AFC Championship game and the NFC Championship game. Of course, if you like this video, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. Thanks for watching.